गणपरिवर गजमुखधीर गुणमूलधार कुङ्कुमशरीर गणपरिवर गजमुखधीर गुणमूलधार कुङ्कुमशरीर फणिराजहर भक्तवरधीर फणिराजहर भक्तवरधीर हरिकेशतनया सुन्दर वरसिद्धि विनायका सुमुख वरसिद्धि विनायका.
Hey, do you know who creates hurdles and obstacles in your life? There are thousands of stories in our Puranas glorifying the grandeur and splendor of the greatness of the one who creates hurdles in our life. His love and empathy are far and wide known, and even the celestial gods are no exception to this. There are instances where even the trinity of Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara were at the mercy of this great one to gain victory. Let's take the example where the Mahadeva himself was put through the most unexpected hurdle. This was the time when Lord Shiva was engaged in a war against the most deadly asuras of that time. With the boon of Lord Brahma, the asuras had gained control of the 3 most powerful cities in the entire universe. They had a very interesting secret hidden. It was about the instance when the cities could be destroyed. The asuras grew stronger and more atrocious with every passing day. The devas were threatened with death, and unable to bear the immense suffering caused by the asuras, the devas walked out of the heavens to seek the help of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva had his hands tied in this case because the asuras were deeply devoted to Lord Shiva, and they were also wise enough to perform the yajnas and yagas for their protection. Shiva could not punish the asuras as long as they were sincerely following the sacred Vedas in their life. Faced with the dilemma of protecting the gods as well as not destroying the asuras, Lord Shiva suggested the devas rush to Lord Vishnu to bail them out of such a helpless state. Lord Vishnu, with the wisdom of the great sage Narada, altered the minds of the asuras against the Vedas. The asuras felt utterly confused and dizzy in their head, and they started committing all sorts of unethical actions in their powerful cities. This was the time when Lord Shiva would destroy the asuras by burning their cities into ashes. This was going to be a furious war for the devas, so elaborate planning was made. Lord Shiva made the entire earth his chariot. The sun and the moon became the wheels of the chariot. The Vedas got transformed into the horses for the chariot. Lord Vishnu himself became the magnanimous bow with the divine serpent Vasuki as its thread. Lord Agni mounted himself at the tip of the arrow that Lord Shiva would shoot. But there was a challenge here. The secret that I mentioned about the destruction of the cities. The cities were not in a single place. They were moving and floating freely in the entire cosmos with tremendous force. Lord Brahma had very wisely kept a condition for the cities. If on any day the three cities align themselves in a straight line, then those three cities could be destroyed at once. The celestial planning in the war was that Lord Shiva would shoot the arrow when the three cities are in a perfectly straight line, and in a split second the arrow would pierce through all the three cities at once, engulfing them inside the blazing fire of Lord Agni, who was at the tip of the arrow. Lord Brahma was the charioteer, and Mahadev rode on the chariot with such fierceness that the entire universe was trembling to the energies that were created. The moment the chariot reached a place in today's Tamil Nadu, the axle of the chariot's wheel cracked and ceased to move forward. Lord Shiva was perplexed at this unexpected impediment, and reflecting upon this, only to understand that it was the one who creates the hurdle playing his Leela behind this instance. The Devas were struck with immense panic and uncertainty as to what to do at such a crucial moment. Lord Shiva quickly appeased the great Lord in the shrine located at the same place in Tamil Nadu, and the chariot roared to life and started to move once again. Lord Shiva shot the arrow when the three cities were in perfect alignment, and in the blink of their eyes, all the three cities turned into dust and ashes. The Devas sighed a breath of relief and prayed to the great Lord of Hurdles. Who was it that Lord Shiva appeased? And if the Lord of Destruction, the God of Gods, Mahadeva himself could not escape the hurdle, how can lesser mortals like you and me do so? Before I tell you who Lord Shiva appeased and solved the problem with utmost ease, let me tell you something more. The place where Shiva's chariot got stuck in the mud is considered to be in today's Tamil Nadu region. It falls somewhere between Tindivanam and Changalpattu. What's more fascinating is that Lord Shiva had descended on earth as Shankaracharya. It was sometime in the past, during the time of Kanchi Paramacharya Swamiji. Swamiji had prepared a gracious, beautiful, divine idol of Adi Shankaracharya. He wanted to offer it to at the sacred place of Rameshwaram. While Swamiji was in a procession in the chariot, the axle of the wheel cracked and the chariot stopped moving at the exact same place. When Mahaswamiji was informed about this, he, with the aid of his divine vision, understood that this is the holy place in Tamil Nadu where Lord Shiva himself had to offer his reverences to the great Lord during the Tripurasura Samharam. And just like history repeats itself, the same thing had occurred. So, Swamiji instructed his disciples to offer 108 coconuts to the great Lord and declared that the chariot will proceed further. Once the offering was made, the chariot started to move and reached Rameshwaram. Even to this day, the devotees visit the holy place in Tamil Nadu with great grandeur. This reminds me of another story from the past. It's about a particular conversation that occurred between a devotee and goddess Parvati. He was one of the greatest devotees of goddess Parvati, and Devi was so pleased with this devotee that she would herself very gently wake him up from sleep early in the morning. Just imagine, what would it feel like if the God you love the most, your favorite God, woke you up from sleep every single morning? You would be ecstatic and joyful, right? So there were such ecstatic and blessed days for the devotee. On one such day, the goddess Parvati, who sat on the veranda of his house close to the gateway, woke him up, citing that it was dawn time already. Shastriji woke up, looked at Parvati Mata, sported a mischievous smile, and again retired to bed with his back facing towards her. Now, the goddess was obviously angry. She said, "Were you not sleeping and dozing in drowsiness? You opened your eyes, and why were you laughing at me? There seems to be some kind of sarcasm in your smile. You better explain your belittling act," she demanded. Shastriji bowed his head and humbly replied, "I would definitely answer your question, Amma, but assure me that you will neither take me otherwise nor get offended after listening to my version." Parvati Mata nodded in agreement and asked Shastriji to explain himself. Shastriji folded his hands and asked thus, "Nothing much to say, Amma. Did you marry first and then conceive the children? Or did you conceive the children in the first place and then did you get married later?" This was the question that Shastriji had asked. Parvati Mata thundered, "How dare you say that, Shastri? How could such a heinous expression be uttered by an eminent person like you? Why did you say so?" demanded the goddess in utter dismay. Shastriji said, "Amma, during the celestial wedding of Parvati Devi and Paramashiva, they performed a ceremonial puja to one of your sons, isn't it? So, your son was already there by then, isn't it? So, did Shiva and you already had a son even before your marriage took place? Or did you have a son after your marriage happened?" "I am reminded of this and this made me laugh," replied Shastri. Parvati Mata said, "Your remarks call for an immediate and urgent explanation, as it will create trouble and unwanted unrest in the world. It's better if you make yourself more clear and reveal the secret behind your thesis," said the goddess. Shastriji exclaimed, "Kindly call the great sage Vyasa. He will appear in the form of holy light and I will reveal it in his presence." However, Parvati Mata said that it's not needed as she herself is present to validate his statement. Then, finally, Chandolu Raghavanarayana Shastriji explained thus, "Your son, the great Lord, has manifested himself into multiple incarnations to accomplish various distinguished purposes. But in reality, he is present from the time Lord Shiva himself is present. This is because the place where your son resides is called Mooladhara Chakra, and he resides in the Mooladhara Chakra of Lord Shiva. So, that's the reason the Lord has manifested into various forms time and again to achieve various utilities for the world. So, was it the son of goddess Parvati who Shiva appeased during the Tripurasura Samhara? Yes, that's right. Simply because Lord Shiva had not prayed to him before the war, we saw how the universe came cracking down in those few moments of extreme despair and anxiety. If Lord Ganesha is the one who removes the hurdles, then who is the one who creates those hurdles for us? You may be surprised at what I tell you now. However, before that, let me share something about hurdles. Have you ever faced a hurdle, obstacle, or problem in your life that you are thankful for later? Let me tell you what I mean. At times, the great Lord even protects us by creating obstacles. That is His magnanimity. The person who faced an obstacle laments that his work took a jolt and got halted. But he understands later in his life that it has been a blessing in disguise that the particular task never got finished. Once there lived a wealthy man who was a great devotee of Lord Ganapati. It so happened that he lost hold of a very big contract which had become a last-minute disappointment to him. He had finished all the legwork and all the other formalities for that particular contract. Everybody, including himself, expected that he would definitely back the contract. But the unexpected happened to leave the merchant in deep distress. He was in great grief that he lost a huge amount of money in the process. The merchant cried, "O Lord Ganesha, with your grace on me, how can such grief enter my life? Who created this hurdle for me?" The merchant was confused, angry, and shattered. He did not know how to respond to this. Days passed, months passed, and then things started to become clear to the merchant. Much to his delight, after a year or so, he came to know that it was his good fortune that saved him from a debacle. Had he got that contract, his whole family would have been doomed and begging on the streets for alms. So, at times, Lord Vinayaka rescues us by creating obstacles as well. At times, obstacles ought to be created for the welfare of the world, and in certain instances, they are supposed to be cleared to achieve the highest good. Lord Vigneshwara is not just the deity who clears away obstacles, but also the one who creates obstacles. Out of his thousands of holy names, he also has a name called Vignakartre Namaha, meaning our reverence to the Lord who is the creator of obstacles. Vinayaka creates obstacles for those whose desires upon fructification lead to the suppression of dharma or righteousness, whose desires upon manifestation will cause devotion to cease to exist, and whose desires upon fulfillment will pose a serious threat to the very existence and well-being of this world. He creates obstacles to such kind and ensures that the wishes of such devilish minds are never manifested. While I'm sharing this with you, do you also recall such instances in your life where the hurdles were a real blessing in disguise for you? If yes, do share it in the comment section below and I would love to know them. The next time you hit a roadblock, You might want to see if you started your work without praying to Lord Ganesha, as in the case of Tripurasura Samhara, or reflect upon it if it is a blessing for you, as in the case of the merchant. After knowing the powers and divinity of Lord Ganesha, would you imagine anyone playing mischief with him? Yes, such a grave instance happened too. Do you know who hit Ganapati on his head? Post your answer in the comment section if you know it. Or watch our next video to know who had such a courage to hit Ganapati on his head. Bye for now.
If you like this video, click on the like button, share and subscribe to our channel. Also, do not miss to hit the bell icon to be notified each time we upload a video. Thank you.